Hello, Birdley, and it's really nice to be doing a recording for you. I'm very grateful. I know that you have won the sequence of 5, as well as the one off. And I equally, oh God, sorry, excuse me, I was just moving place there. Equally, I know that you were supposed to have a choice of whatever I read. And in fact, you still do, obviously. Please make any suggestion that you like. Be very interested to hear your choices. I've got this one ready for the sequence of 5, so I will just start this one. And hope that it's suitable. If you like it, I can carry on with it and probably get quite a long way through it by the end of the 6 readings. It's not a long book. I'm actually going to be slightly mischievous and not tell you what it is yet. I wonder, I expect you've probably read it, but of course I'll tell you if you want to know more about it. I will now get on and read it. I think it's rather a good one. And I'm just instinctively stopping myself from reading the title page. I would start on chapter 1. I am awaiting the arrival of night and all that it means in this landscape. Ahead of me lies a great unbound field of stubble, sloping gently towards the hamlet of Buckenham in the Yare Valley. Yare is Y-A-R-E, if you're interested. At the settlement's southern margin is a tiny railway station, where I stepped down from a train more than 30 years ago on one of my earliest expeditions to this part of the Norfolk Broads. The Norfolk Broads are an interlinked series of canals and sort of half lakes in Norfolk, surprisingly enough. A lot of people go there on boating holidays. Beyond that steel line is the flat expanse of the Yares floodplain proper, and from my position on this upper northern slope I gain a sense of the entire valley, the whole flow of its contours, the way that the land dips down, then rises again on the far shore like a shallow saucer, like a natural amphitheatre fit for the spectacle about to unfold. As day draws into its final hour, our own falling star has dwindled to a lens of brightness on the southern horizon, resting in its own bed of lemon and rose light. I watch the clouds being pushed towards it by a biting northerly wind. They loom overhead like icebergs in an ocean of cold winter blue. And through this interplay of light and darkness arrive the birds I've come to watch. A long ellipse of shapes, ragged and playful, strung out across the valley for perhaps half a kilometre, rides the uplift from the north wind directly towards my location. The birds, rooks and jackdaws, heading to their evening roost, don't materialize gradually. A vague blur slowly taking shape. They tunnel into view, as if suddenly breaking through a membrane. One moment they aren't visible, then they are, and I track their course to the great skirt of stubble flowing down below me. Along the margins of these fields stand rows of stately ivy-clad oaks, where the birds that have already arrived clothe the bare canopy, creating a heavy foliage of black. The whole effect of animal and vegetation reminds me momentarily of the great flat-topped acacias of the African savannah. In the falling light they are mere silhouettes, and even the birds that have landed on the ground, wandering among the jagged stalks of stubble, create a simple, fretted chiaroscuro of pale and dark. My attention cannot rest on the perched birds for long, because I'm drawn back inexorably to the drama of the fresh arrivals. The long cylinder of birds, perhaps 1,000 in total, has started to coil and circle the sky above the landing ground. They wind up into a swirling vortex that breaks apart as small groups fling themselves to earth. It is an extraordinary performance. I am so mesmerized by the flock's sudden and convulsive disintegration that I fail to observe the trajectory followed by one individual. But all cease briefly to resemble birds. They become wind-blown rags or scraps of paper. The best I can think of is a moment I saw once in Jaipur in India. Above the whitewashed skyline floated 1,000 small multicolored kites, all at play in the hot desert gusts on that Rajasthani afternoon. The rooks and jackdaws acquired the same brief power of wild movement, straining against gravity and wind in equal measure. Even this dramatic show holds me just a matter of seconds, because each new development seems more compelling than the last. From the east, from rookeries that I know intimately around the village of Reedham, comes an even larger flock. Perhaps 4,000 birds arrive in a single river of movement, and then perform the same wheeling downward plunge as the previous group. All the while, that visual drama intensifies. Their accompanying vocalizations become ever more voluble and excited. Birds on the ground are obviously aroused by the fresh arrivals and send up a great chorus of contact notes. The two species create deeply contrasting but perfectly integrated sounds. The rook's voice is dark, earthly, coarse, and tuneless. But in aggregate, it possesses a beautiful and softly contoured evenness. The jackdaws, meanwhile, produce sharp, chipped, lapidary notes, like the sweet strike of flint on flint, and in this flinty landscape nothing could be more appropriate. In fact, both rook and jackdaw calls seem to come from deep within the earth, as if it were the valley itself, celebrating the onset of night. The sun has now vanished from the far horizon, and the clouds congeal into a single glacial belt of darkness, squeezing the last soft tones from the day. In these dying moments of the day, when the birds are all assembled, there comes a brief but clearly perceptible lull in proceedings. It happens every time. They fall almost completely silent. Although the first arrivals may have continued to feed, preen, bathe, or scrap with neighbours, at day's end they all cease. They stand expectant, as they leapfrog their neighbors, so they trigger the next wave of outer birds to come nearer to the middle. I can't work out why they do this. Is it some inward quest for security as darkness falls? Or is it simply to get closer still to their neighbors, so that they can pick up instantly that last pulse of intention that shapes the flock's final act of the day? Whatever causes it, the process of consolidation is self-exhausting, and when there is no inner space left to occupy, and the birds have created one huge, undifferentiated mass of black across the field, I know that we're close to the evening's crowning event. And what that event may be, we will discover tomorrow, or sooner maybe, I don't know. I just got that book today, looking for something that would please you, and yeah, I think that's going to do the job very, very nicely. Sorry, I'm standing up again. Beg your pardon. Right, you know that I wish you well, whatever today brings, and you equally know how to get hold of me in the unlikely event that you want to. I hope to be in touch soon. Bye bye.